Marcus Coward, and this is Wake Up New Bedford. And I'm here with Lisa Ortiz-Capello. Lisa, thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, when you were talking about traveling, I wanted to ask you, if you could do real estate anywhere else in the world, have you thought about this, and where would you go?
I have thought about this.
Okay.
Yes. Well, my family just bought a condo in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I have a lot of family there. And my aunt's a realtor in Puerto Rico. My cousin's a real estate attorney in Puerto Rico. So I've definitely thought of like doing real estate over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you just want to learn a little bit more here in New Bedford, and then maybe you could make that a reality? Or maybe that's just something you've thought of?
It's something I've thought of, especially now that we have like, you know, a place that's like ours, kind of like shifting, like, okay, might spend some more time over there. So I might be able to like work while I'm vacationing there.
Sure.
That was my thought.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing, right? Yeah.
And so were they already doing that? Your family doing real estate in Puerto Rico even before you got started with real estate? Or is that something you just found on your own and then they kind of did that on their own as well?
So when my dad first came from Puerto Rico so he was in his, I think, late 20s. Him and my mom came to United States from Puerto Rico. They moved to Fitchburg, Mass. And I remember this story because he was actually a realtor.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was super young. But the reason he did it is because they were looking to buy a house. They both didn't speak, you know, very fluent English. And the realtor that they found, they just found you. In that time, you would just walk into an office. Like, there'd be like a real estate office. You walk there, you know, walk into the office, and you're like, hey, I need a realtor. And whoever's sitting at the desk, hey, all right, come on, let's go look at houses. You hop in the car with them. Like, it was a whole different world. So the realtor at the time started only showing them certain properties in certain neighborhoods. And at first, they were like, this is a little weird. And then they, like, slowly caught on. They were like, they're only showing us the places where, like, the Puerto Ricans live. And, like, you know, it was, like, certain areas in Fitchburg at the time. And, you know, a lot of it was, like, the projects or, like, you know, places that they were like, why are you only showing us properties here? Like, why aren't we seeing anything else? And it wasn't in the internet times where they're, like, Googling, you know, other properties. They're going off of well, this is what's available to you. So my dad, after that, once he realized it, he was like, no, I need to get my license. Like, I need to help other people. So he did do it for a while. So I remember, like, learning about it. I vaguely remember, but he was like, you would come with me to, like, showings and when you're little. And I was like, oh, I don't really remember. But yeah, so my dad did this a long time ago.
And so with that real estate office, is it not like that at all? Like, how would someone find a realtor nowadays?
I mean, there are still, like, storefront. There's still, like, offices that you can, like, walk into. But I think the majority of people, either word of mouth or they're like, you know, how you find any service, right? Like, you Google it. Like, people are like, or social media. So people are finding realtors, like, on social media or, like, Googling it. But there are plenty of offices, especially, I would say, in little, like, so definitely, like, cities like Boston. If you're, like, walking, like, especially for renters, I'd say, like, in Boston or, like, these big cities, like, you can walk into, like, an office and find someone, help you find an apartment. In terms of, like, purchasing a home, I would say more often than not, people are definitely searching for their realtor online or word of mouth.
Sure. And so with your online presence, is that something you just do on your own, or do you have a team with that, or do you get any help with, you know, promoting yourself as a realtor?
So personally, like, that's kind of like my page is like, that's just like my stuff that I do. Our broker offers us like video opportunities because there is an in-house videographer.
Sure.
So there are opportunities that I've had that I've been able to use the videographer for, like, listings or even to promote, you know, local businesses. I've done a few different things. So in that sense, I've gotten that support from my office to do those things.
Nice.
But everything else, for the most part, it's depending. If you are in an office that has like a marketing team, they can do those things for you. But for us, you know, we do them all ourselves.
And so I can imagine that the how people do real estate in the last 6 years or so since COVID hasn't changed too much, but it has in the last 20 years, right?
Right, definitely.
What do you feel like is the next stage, or how real estate will evolve in the next few years to 5 or 10 years?
I hope it's not AI and robots. I hope robots are not out here showing people houses. Cause I'm not sure where it's gonna go. But I know people have I feel like with every industry, people are kind of nervous, like what's going to happen with AI, what's going to happen,
Yeah.
with technology.
That's interesting.
Is it going to replace? But I think nothing will replace people. Like nothing's going to replace you and I sitting down and being like, hey, what did you think about that house? Like, what are your feelings about it? Like, versus like, I just can't picture a robot doing that, or like AI, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think in that sense, like realtors, I think are here to stay. I hope they're here to stay.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get replaced by, iRobot, but yeah.
No, but that's a great point.
Yeah.
That with real estate, just like a lot of other jobs, that it really requires a true human element to it.
Yeah.
To build that trust, and also to
Definitely.
just understand their feelings of anxiety, or just not understanding something.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of like you're building like the human relationship. Like it's about the house, but it's also like the human relationship. Like you'll know what kind of buyer you're working with, like off of the first meeting, what kind of seller you're working with. Like what are their worries, what are their goals, like what are they trying to achieve. You don't treat every client the same, and you don't, some clients know everything, like they've done it before, and you're kind of like, okay, like I don't have to be on top of you. But then there's some that are like, I'm nervous, I'm scared, please walk me through through this from start to finish, and then those are the clients that you're gonna constantly be doing like temperature checks. Like I like really being like, how do you feel? Like even if we're in the transaction and everything's smooth sailing, I love being like, hey, are you okay? Like how are you feeling? Are you nervous? Like what are your thoughts? And like just to check in with them, because I like to know myself. Like I don't like just being like radio silent, I'm just like, what's going on? Like how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, you want to communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I know some fields are more male dominated or more female dominated. How do you describe real estate? And also, is there an advantage or disadvantage with being a woman rather than a man? Like, have you seen that some clients will prefer one over the other? What's your experience with that?
I think now it's definitely mixed. Like I would say it's like, I don't see more of one, over the other.
Sure.
I think as women in general, we have to like assert, like come off a little more confident, and like especially younger women, like I call myself young, but especially like younger women in the field, like there have been in positions where like men, older men that definitely talk down to you and treat you like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's very common in this industry. A lot of realtors would tell you.
Really?
This. Yeah, especially women. So when I first started, like there was times that people like just rip me a new one, and like I just because it's just like.
And these are buyers, like.
No, these are agents, other agents. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I should have
really?
clarified.
Okay,
yeah.
sure, okay.
Yeah, so I would say that like that's the struggle with being a female like realtor. I'd say that like yeah, sometimes you got to prove yourself. Sometimes people want to take you serious because they feel like this stigma, like, oh, this man knows everything. No, like we know just as much as well.
Yeah, plenty.
Right,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of that in this industry. A lot of like the older realtors. I've been doing this. They just love to tell you offer. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been doing this before you were born. It's
Yes,
like,
you're old. Okay.
okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Anyways, can you have this signed? Like,
literally.
so that's really big in this industry. In terms of like clients. I'm not sure. I haven't seen myself personally. Like, I'm not sure if someone's chosen me because I'm a female or not. I'm not sure about.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to do's and don'ts, there's advice that I'd want you to give for the buyers on what to expect, but also on the realtors. Which one would you want to start with first?
I can start with the buyers.
Okay, sure.
Do's and don'ts. So I'd say work with an agent that you're comfortable with. I know I touched upon this before, but like this is the biggest purchase of your life, right? Or maybe potentially you might do something bigger, but for a lot of people, this is the biggest purchase that they'll ever make. You have to feel comfortable with whoever you're working with. You have to feel comfortable to say like, I don't understand this, or like, what does this mean? Or I don't really like, I actually don't want to buy this house. Like you have to feel comfortable to say that. So treat, when you're meeting a realtor for the first time, make sure that they're having a consultation with you, that they're sitting down face to face or like via Zoom, but make sure that they're taking that time to like get to know you. What are your needs? Who are you? Like, who's your family? Who's going to be moving into this house? Like, it's not just like, all right, this person called and they want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, this is their budget. Like, there's so much more that goes into that. Like, so I feel like as buyers, you should catch on to that. Like, you should see, like, this person is taking their time to know me. They're taking the time to explain things to me. They're taking the time to make sure that I understand what I'm doing. So definitely as a buyer,
So with that, do you feel like buyers should think more about the personality that they're dealing with rather than the experience when trying to get comfortable with them? Because I can imagine that some people might want the most experienced or
Yeah.
veteran realtor, but then how would any new real estate agent like get any business? So
It's so tricky.
yeah,
Because in order to get business, right, like you have to get the opportunity, and then in order
Exactly.
to get the experience, like it's like this. That's tough. But I'd say that I think it's a mix of both, right? Like I think the personality, if like you feel comfortable with that person and you feel like they're professional and they're gonna do a good job and they're gonna have your back, they're honest, they communicate. That mixed with like I think experience is important. I mean, obviously you have to give people a chance to start the ball
Exactly.
rolling, but like
Yeah.
what we learn in real estate school versus like what we learn in the field is so different. Like
really.
yeah, like it's like, okay, you take this class and then you take this test, but like nothing's preparing you then like the actual work, like the actual transaction. Like I said, every single one is different, so nothing will prepare you as much as like, you know, actually doing a transaction. I think that's very important. So I would say it's a mix of both, like the personality.
Sure.
Do you feel like you vibe with this person?
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's okay. And you know, sometimes as realtors, we might not vibe with that buyer, and maybe we'll refer them to someone else, you know, that's
Sure.
gonna better suit their needs and like better, you know, work with them.
So before we move on,
Yeah.
you've given great answers so far, but can you talk a little bit about what real estate school is like? Like how long is it, you know,
Yeah.
and like in what ways do you wish it could have prepared you more for the actual real estate on the job?
Yeah. So nowadays you can like actually take the class online.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I did it, I think I did so long ago now, but I think I did like 2 weekends back to back, and it was like there's a certain number of hours that you have to do. I don't remember right now what they are, but
sure.
you do a certain number of hours in a classroom setting, and then you take the test, and then you're certified. So
Okay.
yeah, so I personally, yeah, I do wish like we went into like actual, you know, scenarios a little bit more.
Yeah,
like,
what do you mean?
Some type of, yeah, like it was just kind of like you have a book, like you could essentially teach yourself to take that test like with a book.
Yeah.
Because the test itself is like a lot of like math, it's a lot of laws, it's a lot of like real
Interesting.
estate lingo.
Okay.
So yeah, they have you take the class, but then essentially you're learning everything from this huge, like typically this huge book.
Sure.
Like I think I made like 300 flashcards, like
Wow.
on terms of loans.
Sure,
You know?
okay.
So yeah, I do wish that we got a little bit more. Somehow, like I don't know how they would do it, but somehow a little more hands-on experience.
Yeah,
Like,
field experience.
Field experience.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or you like tag along with a realtor, you know, and like kind of see what you do at an open house, or like what does it look like to put together an offer, like
Yeah.
you know, something like that.
Wow. Okay, so you're learning a lot of what it means to be a realtor on the job. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So I feel like it's so important who you work for too, like because a lot of people like if you take the class, you get certified, and then you go to a company that like might not provide any type of training or like mentorship, and you're just kind of like trying to wing it. Like it's tough. It is tough.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it is tough. So you like going to an office that offers like trainings or like even a mentorship program, I think is like huge when you're first starting out, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had a mentor before?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a few of the brokerages that I was in, like they required you to have a mentor in order. Like you had to be with this mentor and sell. I forget like what it was, like a few, like maybe like 2 or 3 transactions with a mentor.
Sure.
And then you could like go on your own. But you had to have a mentor, and I think that's so important.
No, I that sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
To really make sure they know at least the bare minimum of what to do. But like you
Yeah.
said, you're still going to learn the job. But,
Exactly.
Okay. And so please continue with the do's and don'ts. So we left off at making sure that the buyer feels comfortable.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. When you're working with an agent, just make sure you're comfortable with that agent. Make sure you feel like it's the right fit. Definitely, I think that's important. And then this is just what you're gonna always hear forever and ever. But to get it pre-approved first, it's kind of like the everyone talks about it, but it is important because without your pre-approval, you don't know how much you're qualified to buy.
Okay.
So you could start looking at start going to open houses and looking at houses, but you don't know what you're going to be approved for. You don't know what the bank is going to loan you. So, you need something to be pointing you in this direction. You need to like be aiming at something. And then oh God. How
long beforehand should you start to get that pre-approval before like you start to look for a house?
Right away. Like that's like honestly the first step. Like yeah, you can find the realtor. The realtor is gonna help you.
Okay.
But like okay, like if you need a lender, they can refer you to a lender that they work with, right? But the realtor is always gonna say, we need to get your pre-approval. It is so important because this market, like I said, there's still a lot of competition out there. So you might go and see a house that you really like, and then it's gone tomorrow.
Okay.
And if you didn't have your pre-approval, you can't submit an offer. So definitely right away, you want to know what. And on top of it, like they're gonna give you a pre-approval amount. Let's say it's like $400,000, right? that's just a number. You have to make sure that the monthly payments make sense for your life. So like that's what people will be like, I'm approved for $400,000, and I'm like, okay, like you do like the monthly payments? Are you comfortable? They're like, oh, I'm not sure what they are. I'm like, you have to ask.
Yes.
So I always tell people. I mean, most lenders will tell them, but sometimes they just give them an amount with a letter that says, congrats, you've been pre-approved for $400,000. Like I always say, ask for a breakdown of what that looks like.
Sure.
Okay, you come back and find out it's like $3,000. Wait a second, like I was expecting a $2,500 payment. Like that's all I can afford.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you need to, even though you're pre-approved for $400,000, the bank will loan you that. That doesn't mean that that's how much you want to spend. Maybe we're going to be looking at houses that are $350,000 instead. Yeah, so that's important. Like your pre-approval amount and then the monthly payments, so important. Because you could go see a house, you love it, and then you look at the monthly payments, you're like, oh, like
it's out of my budget.
It's out of my budget. I can't do this.
And so how do you find where to get pre-approved? Like where would you recommend?
So there's a lot of local lenders. I mean, banks do it too, but there's a lot, especially in our area, there's a lot of local lenders that like you can work with, and then your realtor can really like tell you like from experience, like from my experience, I can recommend like a handful. And I also look at like, number one, if they're Spanish speaking, like there's a lender that I typically go with that's a Spanish speaking lender, you know. If they're looking at, it's just kind of depends on personalities to or what they're looking for, and I'll kind of be like, oh, okay, this person would be the perfect fit with like this lender that I know. So, you know, a lot of times the realtor will suggest a lender.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay, so where was I? So the pre-approval. Yeah. Always get pre-approval first. You have to. It's your like, it's your guide. Like that's what we're aiming for, and it helps the realtor too. Because then the realtor can start looking at properties for you, and once they have a budget. If not, you're just looking at everything.
Sure.
Yeah. What else is a do and a don't?
A don't that pops into my mind is maybe, especially for the buyer, don't try and, like you can tell them what you want, but don't try and, I don't know, bully them. Like let the realtor do their job, you know?
Yes.
Okay, so talk about
that.
Yes,
thank you.
Okay.
No, it's funny because like I feel like we're often in positions where like people are telling us how to do our jobs, and it's tricky because it's like, oh, you hired me for a reason. Like for buyers and sellers alike, like it's like, you know, you want our opinion, but you don't really like listen to our guidance, which is tricky. It's like a fine line because you know, they're also your client, you know, you're working for them. So in a way, you know, you have to listen to them, but you also are hoping that they respect your knowledge and your advice enough.
Like this is your job. This is what you do.
Exactly. So I think it's like little things like, for example, like you want X, Y, and Z. Like you have your must-have list, right? Your wish list. You have a must-have that like this is a non-negotiable. Like the house needs to have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, like. And then you have like a wish list, like, oh, I want it to have like a garage, but I don't need a garage, right?
Or like a balcony or something.
Or a balcony. Like, those are like wish list items, and then you have like the must-have, like important non-negotiable items. So like sometimes it's important to like listen to your realtor that's like, listen, like, yeah, this house might not have like the garage. This house might not have the balcony, like you just said, or certain things, but there is potential like to add it, or like, you know what I mean? So like listening to them in that sense, like not being so like,
tunnel vision.
And so like these are the things, and I'm not like budging. It's like, okay, like we might wait a little longer. I mean, if there's non-negotiables for people, right? And like I respect that. But there's certain things that people might not, you know, realize. They're like, oh, I don't like the paint color in this house. Like I don't want it. And it's like, well, you can paint it. Like you can paint it.
It's
like,
okay. That's not
so
a deal
ugly
breaker.
and here those like it's like, okay, ignore. And that's another like important thing. Like ignore like. There's so much that you can do, and it's tough in certain situations. Like you'll go into a house and sometimes we can see the potential before the client can, you know, like, you know, it might smell funky, like it might be like the walls are dirty, but like you look at it and you're like, with new floors and like painted walls, and like if you paint these cabinets, like this is gonna like give it a facelift, like, you know, give it a shot, like, you know, so sometimes in those situations, just like listening to your realtor's advice.
Absolutely.
I think is definitely important.
Yeah. And so is there anything else on the buyer side that you'd want to recommend, or do you want to hop into the seller side?
I'd say like, just don't be afraid to have a conversation with either a lender or a realtor. It doesn't cost you anything, right? So like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna wait until my credit score goes higher. But it's like, well, do you know that if you can qualify for something with the current credit you have? No, but like it's not that good. I'm like, well, why don't you talk to someone and see? And it doesn't cost you anything, right? So the lender's gonna look at your file and say, you know, with this credit score, you do qualify for a program, but if you wait a little longer, fix your credit score, they'll tell you what to do, then you might qualify for a different program. So, you know, just getting that guidance. You don't know what you don't know, but it's important, like, don't think that I can't buy a house because, you know, like X, Y, and Z, or I don't have enough money saved. Well, actually, you might qualify for this down payment assistance program that you didn't even know about. But it doesn't cost anything to just like get advice, ask somebody, call up a realtor, be like, I have questions about like the process. Like I'm not ready yet, but like, can I just talk to you about it? It doesn't cost anything.
And so what is an ideal credit score to aim for?
So it all depends. Like I would talk to a lender about this, to be honest. That is their world.
Sure.
Because there's different programs that are like going to like fit, like if you have like a 600 credit score, like what would be the best program for you to fall into, and the lender would definitely be able to tell you that.
Sure.
But your credit score directly impacts the rate that you're gonna get. So the higher the better, I'll say that.
Sure.
So the better your credit score is, the better rate you'll get.
Sure.
But just because you have something in like the lower 600s and you're like, I can't qualify or whatever, like that's not true. Like there are programs that you would be able to qualify for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's definitely encouraging.
Yeah, sorry.
And then so for realtors,
Yeah.
okay, what would be some advice for them?
What would be some advice for like people who wanted to become realtors?
Yes, or even fellow agents, like what's some things that, obviously without naming names, like things that you've noticed that you wish they didn't do, or something they could have improved on, or maybe something that you really liked and then you want to give them some praise for?
I will say that like, and I feel like other agents that are similar, like once we are in a transaction or dealing with an agent that's like very responsive, kind, open, honest, like all these things, that sticks out to us. We will literally be like, thank you for being so like nice. Thank you for being so kind. Thank you for like being a pleasure to work with, because I feel like in this industry, there's a lot of people that are just kind of like, you ask them a question like, hey, I have a question, and they're just like, go on MLS. Like
I don't even know what that is.
yeah. They're like, you know what I mean? Or they're like, figure it out. Like, and
Yeah.
it's tough because it's just like, but then you'll have certain realtors that you're working alongside, and I'll call them up like, hey, I have a client interested in your property. Like, oh, great. Like, they'll answer questions, they'll say whatever, but you have other ones that like don't even want to pick up the phone, and they'll just answer your text and be like,
Sure.
like do your own due diligence. Like, it's just like being, I would say like it goes a long way.
And so like essentially if you don't have the personality for it, don't do the job.
I think so. Like,
It's a huge part.
Yeah, like you don't. People, I feel like, take things very personal in real estate too. Like when you ask certain questions, they get like very angry, and it's
Really?
like, yeah, I'm like, it doesn't like you could be kind. Like it goes such a long way if you're just like kind to people, and like I said, like we notice it. Like when I do transactions with other like realtors and we're both just like on the same team, and that's huge. Like we both have the same end goal, right? We are trying to get our clients to the closing table, whether it's the sellers or the buyers. So we're technically on the same team, right?
Yeah.
But you'll encounter some transactions, some realtors, and it's like we're butting heads. Why are we fighting?
Yeah.
Like we have the same goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like let's get on the same page. But that so that's one thing I wish more realtors saw. Like we're on the same team. Like we have the same goal in mind.
Yeah.
Let's work together. Let's figure this out together, rather than like being like at odds. And at the end of the day, like you don't want to burn bridges in this industry, because I might have a listing tomorrow that you have a client interested in, and of course like you have to we have guidelines and things that we have to follow. So but at the end of the day, I'm gonna have a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, oh, this realtor, like obviously you have to present every offer, you have to do everything, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, you don't want to burn bridges in this industry. You want to be able to walk into an open house and just feel comfortable with whatever realtor is there hosting it, or like vice versa. I think it's important to like maintain relationships and be kind to people, honestly.
And so you do remind me of a question. So do you see other realtors as competition at all?
That's tricky. So I feel like there's so much business for everyone. Like there's so many buyers out there. There's so many people that might want to sell a house. So at the end of the day, like everybody can eat. Like there is, you know what I mean? Like so then I also can see that mentality when people are like, kind of like, like that's competition. Like no, like there's room for us all to eat. There's room for us all to help somebody. Like there's a buyer for you. There's a buyer for me. Like so I don't necessarily see people as competition in that way. You know, like I know that like some people be like, they'll take stats and just kind of like, oh, like I made this much and you only made this much. But I don't think to me that doesn't matter.
What we're talking about.
At all. I feel like like there's enough business for us all to go around. So I really feel like we need to all kind of be like, hey, we're in the same industry. We're like essentially we're all colleagues, but people don't see it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is a new area for me. I haven't bought a house yet.
Okay.
And so I do just use terms kind of loosely. So I was saying seller before, and
Okay.
then I hopped to the realtor.
Yeah.
But yes, the seller is its own category. Obviously, there's buyer, seller.
Yep.
Then there's a realtor and agents helping them out.
Yeah.
So do you have any other advice towards realtors, or would you want to give a quick do's and don'ts for the sellers?
For sellers, I think one big thing that I've learned is like definitely having an attorney represent you as a seller. Yes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So there's attorneys in real estate transactions, right? You
Sure.
have a closing attorney, and they technically represent the lender in the deal, but the lender obviously is working for the buyer, and so they're going to handle the closing, and they're essentially like the buyer's go-to person in a transaction, right? In terms of like the legality of things.
Okay.
Buyers can also hire their own attorney as well, but a lot of people just choose to use the closing attorney on the
Okay.
buyer's end. Now, sellers, I do think it's so important for you to hire an attorney to represent you in the transaction. It's very important.
Why?
Because there's so many things in terms of like title and deeds and just so much research that goes on the back end that like an attorney can really make sure that you're in the perfect position to sell. Like you might think that you can sell your property and you might not even know there's like a lien on your property or there's something wrong. You know, there's just so many things legally that like you want to be protected like as a seller, and I think the biggest mistake is like when they don't get representation. I do.
Sure.
Yeah, and they're just trying to like solve every problem themselves and represent themselves, and I do think that, you know, of course some can do so, but I think overall, I think it does benefit for them to get representation.
And are they expensive or more reasonable than
I'd say
people think?
It's more reasonable than you
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people think like, oh, I'm hiring an attorney, I'm paying thousands of dollars, and it's not that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So the buyer and the seller will both have attorneys when closing a deal.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Ideally,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like
sure.
like I said, usually there's a closing attorney which
Yeah.
represents the lender.
Yeah, sure.
And the purchase, and a lot of times that'll be the only attorney in the transaction. But it is, I think it's important for the seller to also have an attorney and to like go over,
Okay.
you know, the paperwork and understand, you know, all of the important files and documents that go into it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's new.
Okay.
Is there something else that you would ask of the sellers to do, or other advice, or maybe do's or don'ts?
Yeah. Let me think.
Sure.
I mean, depending again what your goal is, I think like, you know, there's like kind of like, if you want to prepare your house to sell, like there's like little things that you can do, right? Like declutter, like it's the typical things that you see on social media, but it's just like declutter, curb appeal, like make sure the house smells good. Like when people walk into your house, like the first impression, like you want it to be like, oh, like, so we, for example, like we'll put music in our open houses, like because we want people to walk in and be like, oh, like it's,
Yeah.
this is what you could like experience if you lived here, you know, like candles, it smells good. Like when a buyer walks into a home and the first thing they smell is like, let's say dog smell or something,
Yeah, sure.
Cigarette smell,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it turns people off. So I would say as
course.
a seller, like if you want to prepare your house to sell and you want to sell for the highest amount, right? If that's your
Yeah.
goal, I'd say getting your house just like ready and listen to your realtor, because we go in there and we're gonna look at it before you list it, and we're gonna give you some suggestions, like, hey, like maybe patch up some paint, you know, over here, or like, you know, maybe, you know, we're gonna give some clear out the trash in the yard. Like you want the house to be as presentable as possible if your goal is to make the most amount as possible and get as many buyers in the door. So I
Sure.
would say like listen to the advice of your realtor and kind of like spruce up the things that are needed, because sometimes in your mind these are big changes, but it could be small changes,
Yeah.
you know, that would make a difference.
And so when talking about, you know, repainting or, you know, small construction or something like that, do you have people you usually go to that may be a part of your team or an extension of your team, like painters that you usually go to for a situation like that?
I think for the most part, most realtors do. Like we
Yeah.
all, just because of being in the industry, you're gonna have like a few plumbers on call that you can call for any issue. You're gonna have a trash removal guy. You're gonna have an electrician. Like you're gonna have these people that you can readily call. Like I wouldn't say, like some people might have like a team of that's only who they work with, but I think a lot of people just have like this, like they have those go-to people, like
Sure.
and have options. And I think it's important as a realtor because sometimes your client might not know any of those people, so you want to be able to refer those people to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so we're closing up now, but
Okay.
I do have to say, I definitely think you've fulfilled your dream of becoming that boss woman that you imagine yourself.
Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And so, do you have any closing thoughts as we're wrapping this interview up?
Closing thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I would say honestly, like my biggest thing is in terms of like real estate, it's like don't be scared to like ask the questions. Like there's no dumb question in real estate. Like people's pride and this goes for other realtors too. Like if you're a new realtor in the game and someone's asking you a question and you don't want to come off dumb, so you just say whatever, like no.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, let me find that out for you. And like I learned that early. Like you always say, let me find that out if you don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So I'd say like ask questions as a buyer, as a seller, before you're signing contracts. Ask questions and don't be scared to. No one's gonna judge you on that. We did not learn this in school. You know what I mean? Like you've never bought a house, so you don't. You wouldn't know, right?
I wouldn't.
So I want you to ask away. I want you to ask all the questions so that you're informed. So you don't leave or like after the transaction be like, I feel like she didn't even like tell me, guide me. Like so it's important. Like all fronts, I ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask the questions.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, well, this has been my conversation, my interview with Lisa Ortiz-Capello. If anyone wants to learn more about real estate, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, definitely reach out to her. She has an Instagram, or you can find her group that she works with. And again, Lisa, thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Catch us on the next interview. Peace out, guys.
I'm on it,